night is the Rangers Journal night.
Good afternoon. Welcome to the Rangers Journal Tactic Board, and today we are looking at the lowdown for Rangers v Celtic tomorrow. Normally you're getting this show with Doug. He is away on his travels this week, so instead you've got myself and Dylan filling in. Dylan, how you doing, mate?
I'm good, Dave. Cheers, mate.
Yeah, you looking forward to this one?
No, really, no, if I'm honest, no.
All right, then. Let's jump straight into this then. So, what to expect? Well, I think it's fair to say that the form for Rangers has been pretty erratic. That's it up on the screen there. You can see we've 2 wins, 3 losses in our last 5 games. Celtic, on the other hand, they started with 2 losses back around the Bayern Champions League game. Obviously lost to Hibs in the league, and then since then have been on a winning streak and have also scored quite a bit, I would suggest. Yeah. Dylan, just kind of looking at this, do you think there's a lot to be said here? Do you think form maybe goes out the window when you think a couple of those are kind of European games?
Yeah, form probably should go out the window, mate, in all firm. Probably what's in our favour is we're only playing at home, believe it or not, but you're also playing at the hardest place there is to go in the league. So it's a wee bit of both, isn't it?
It is, I think. And I think we almost need to forget the kind of bad. I mean, just looking at that, obviously the St Mirren game, Clement was still in charge. The Motherwell game, as you say, it was at home, which doesn't seem to be working so well for us at the minute. Yeah. And then Fenerbahce, the same, although ultimately we got the result on the night. Just looking at the goals they've scored, Dylan, they've put 5 past St Mirren and Aberdeen. Does that kind of worry you a bit coming into this one?
I think it depends how we approach it, mate. I think over the last twice we played them in the cup final and the game at Ibrox, I think we were probably the better team, to be honest with you. Cup final was 3-3, so it was end to end. Didn't score at Ibrox, so if we can replicate that type of performance, type of desire, then you're always got a chance to go on and get a draw or winning it. So we just need to try and keep them at bay.
Yeah, that's it, mate. And I think just looking at the league table, I think that probably is quite a fair reflection of this season. Pains me to say Celtic have been pretty consistent in the league, dropped very few points, whereas obviously we've been wildly inconsistent. Some games like the Kilmarnock game, we came back from 2 down to win that 4-2, and that was a great result. But for every Kilmarnock game, there's one of these 2-0 v St Mirren jobs as well. Just for those watching, if you aren't already aware, the pod is sponsored by Off to the Match I Go. As you can see on the bottom of your screen there, if you use the promo code Journal10 at checkout, you'll receive 10% off. You can find them online and on Facebook, and well worth a look for their custom merch. So, Dylan, let's move on to what to expect then. I think this is probably the biggest question about this game. Said to you, kind of pre-going live, Celtic, I think it's fair to say they are going to stick with this 4-3-3. They're pretty much wedded to it. It works for them. Obviously, the team here, that was who they put out in their cup game against Hibs. Are you expecting any kind of wholesale changes there, or do you think that's going to be very close to the team that we're likely to face?
I think that will be the team we face, mate. I can't see anything changing there, but maybe we'll get it out. But I've got it's a short clip, so maybe put it together and put a wee video on it. Maybe get it out tonight or something of how they're going to attack, how they're going to try and penetrate us and break us open. So we'll maybe try and get that out for the guys that are interested in watching it. But I think that is exactly how they'll line up. I'd be very, very surprised if they did change it.
Yeah, and I'll just put a bit of action on myself there. We will get that out on the socials tonight. Is that the clips you've sent me, Dylan?
Aye, mate, yeah.
Aye, sound. So yeah, we'll get those out on the socials for anyone that's interested. Probably YouTube, it'll be maybe a short, and we'll get it on all the usual places, so Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, potentially, etc. So, looking at the Rangers side, then, this is where I think the question does come in, Dylan. Obviously, the last 2 games in Europe, he started 3-5-2. Do you think he's going to keep that going into the Celtic game, or is there going to be another change?
That's why I brought it up, because I've actually done one on if we play a 3-5-2, how it leaves us vulnerable, because you wouldn't think so, but because you've only got one wide player. You've either got Dujon Sterling and JFT, and that's it. That's your wide players. Whereas Celtic attack with their fullbacks flying forward, and they've got 2 wingers. So straight away you've got an overload in the 2 wide areas. Again, I've got a wee tactical breakdown of it. We'll post it out there so people can see. I don't think he'll go with that, and I hope he doesn't. I hope that he goes your 4-3-3 or what we're more accustomed to, your 4-2-3-1, and goes sort of man for man, tries to match them up over the park. I think that's your best way of understanding who your man is, who to be picking up, when to tuck in, when to go and press. I think that the 3 at the back or the 5 at the back worked against Fenerbahce because that's the way they played as well. But against Celtic, no, definitely would avoid it.
Yeah, and I think something you mentioned there about the 4-2-3-1, I think that worries me slightly. I know the last couple of games we were a bit better, but I always feel like with the 2 sitting, it leaves us open to be overwhelmed in the midfield area. And I think quite often we see that in these Old Firm games where, we do play that too, and they just end up getting destroyed. One of the things that we did see in the last couple of games was actually Philippe Clement utilising Nadim Bahrami. Do you think there's a role for him in that kind of man marking McGregor out the game?
Well, like you said, Dave, your fear of getting run over in the middle of the park. They only play 3 in the middle of the park. Mm-hmm. The reason you're thinking we get run over is because their fullbacks come in inverted and they create that. If our wingers come back in with them, then we'll be all right. So you put Nadim Bahrami on McGregor, and you have Raskin and Diamandi, hopefully, to then go and follow Engels and Hatate. And that's the way you work it. If Maeda drops in, you've got to go with him. Like I said, it's just about following your man marking, concentrating very, very, very high levels of concentration. So it will be tricky, mate, but that's why I think that we should sort of go man for man. And I think based on the last performance we've seen of Bahrami, I think that it's a no-brainer. He put him on McGregor again. He done it. Yeah. He had him in his pocket. I know it's at Ibrox. It's probably going to be a bit different, but who else are you going to put in there? Who else can do the job as well as he done it for us? And that was in the cup final. I thought as well he done it pretty well.
Yeah, I thought so too, to be fair. Ultimately not the result we wanted, but I think the performance showed that it was quite a well-worked tactic. Okay, the only other thing, I guess, here, do we think that Thursday night will have any impact on the team? It's obviously quite a quick turnaround from that 120 minutes plus penalties into an Old Firm game. I know, in particular, Cherney and Barron looked like they were suffering as a result of it. Do you think that'll have any impact coming into this?
I think, well, you seen it when he was supposed to take Cherney off and then he kept him on. So I think Ferguson will do everything he can to make sure that Cherney plays in this match. I've got a funny feeling he might go with Danilo up front, and I wouldn't be against it. I think he's probably a good mix between Dessers and Iggerman, where they can come in, hold the ball up, link up play, but he can also is quick enough to get in behind. And then if you're going for the game, bring Dessers on to try and stretch their back line, and Iggerman to be that sort of powerhouse that he is. So I wouldn't be against Danilo starting. If Cherney's no fit, Barn come off injured. If Cherney's no fit, I don't know how he lines up. To be honest with you, I think that's our biggest threat is Cherney. So I expect to see, but no doubt it will be Dessers up front. But I would like to see Danilo on there.
Yeah, I wouldn't be adverse to that either, and I think people are making quite a bit out of the whole punch in the seat incident when he didn't get subbed on. See, for me, I want that passion in my players.
That's what the manager said, Dave. He says he wants players who, if they're not playing, they're angry, and that's a good thing.
Exactly that, mate. Exactly that. Okay, let's move on then. We know all about this. Tav maybe thought coming into the middle of the pitch that he would avoid his old tormentor, Dyson Maeda. However, Maeda has also moved central, so potentially you've got that matchup again between Tav and Maeda. I think we know what he can do. He's quick. Ball control maybe not excellent, but at the same time, he does get the numbers, a bit like Fashion Scally used to do for us. You know, it wasn't always pretty, but he certainly contributes with numbers. 16 goals and 14 assists in 35 matches. Would you say he's kind of the main man to worry about, or are you more concerned about Kuhn and Jota?
Well, it's a hard one because I think that he is the main danger man, as you've called it there. And what worries me more is the fact that he's now playing up front. He's going to press the life out of the centre halves. It was hard enough when he played in the left, when he had to come all the way across to press him. Kyogo pressed him as well, but not the way he presses. So we're going to really need to, hopefully we don't just lump up the part. Hopefully we be brave and try and play out and create the space to go and exploit. But he's definitely the worry me. And the thing is, because he is so dangerous, I think, and if we worry about him too much, it then opens the door for Kuhn and Jota to go and then they look like the superstars, but it's probably because Maeda's done all the hard work for them. Yeah. So it's a tricky one. Their danger men are obviously their front three, and for me also would be Schlupp and Johnson, because I think that we really need to pin them down and not let them just have a free run at our midfield and a backline and running beyond. So for me, that's where the danger comes from.
Yeah, and I think it was a really interesting point, actually, you mentioned about that kind of lumping it up the park. We saw that against Fenerbahce to an extent, I would argue. It kind of hit a point where we were just punting it anywhere but our box. And I guess the worry is if you do that in this game, that allows them to recycle, go on the attack again to get these guys, the front three, into the mix. So, yeah, that's very valid. I could have picked either. In fairness, I picked Kuhn as the second danger man just purely because he's been here all season. Obviously got more of a record of goals and assists. You can see there 13 goals, 8 assists over 34 matches. Jota is significantly less. Obviously, there was kind of playing time issues in the first half of the season, but he's come back to Celtic. He's already been on the goal sheet. He's already been assisting. So again, you know, you could very easily argue there's actually 3 danger men and it's their front line. You could argue there's other players as well. So I think you're right. We need to be careful that we don't focus too much on one, but we also need to make sure that we don't give Maeda too much space because he is so quick that he will exploit it. It's unreal. Just moving on to the Rangers squad then, which is obviously where most of the fans are going to be a bit more interested. Pain me to do this, but Cyril Dessers, recent purple patch, and he has looked good. I guess the argument is he wasn't great against Fenner, and you have to wonder, does that mean that his next kind of barren spell's coming? But what are your thoughts? I mean, I know you've mentioned Cherney. Would you be annoyed if Dessers starts, or would you think that's reasonable?
It's a good question, Dave. I think it's a difficult one to answer because it depends how we approach the game, right? See, when Dessers played up to the 60 minutes or whenever it was, we didn't play into his strengths. We were trying to play it into him to hold the ball up. As soon as we went off, we started to go long and try and go in behind, and that's his game. So it depends. If we're going to approach it with trying to go like suck Celtic in and try and have Dessers running off the shoulder, then I'm not fussed if he starts. But if you want to try and build us up the park and have, like we saw against Fenerbahce away, where it was a into striker late or third man run, then Danilo probably would be my preferred striker there. I don't think Dessers has done particularly well against Celtic. I can't really remember him causing them too much hassle. Now, I could be wrong, but just off my memory, I can't really remember him causing too much of a problem, or they being that scared of him. Danilo's come on and scored again in the League Cup final to draw it. He scored at Ibrox as well. He's got a sort of superpower of being in the right place at the right time, and that's a good thing for a striker. But I don't know if there's need a Dessers up there with him. I'm not sure, especially away from home. I also think Danilo works harder than Dessers, but Cherney, if he's a fit, 100% starts. The strikers up to up for debate for me. And at left back, I think you've got to start Jeffrey. Ridvan. He's a better one-on-one defender. He'll stop the crosses coming in. I think he gives Kuhn more of a problem to think about than Jeffrey.
Yeah, agreed. And you mentioned Czerny there. Obviously, he's the second danger man. There's probably an argument the picture should have been him. To be fair, I'd suggest he's been one of the stars of this season. 17 goals, 4 assists over 36 matches. I think the very fact that Ferguson kept him on when he was obviously done in tells you how highly the management team think of him. And it's fair to say in that Fenner game, he did look our biggest danger as well. So that's it for looking ahead at the teams, which just leaves us one thing left, Dylan. What do you think the result's going to be?
I would take a draw.
You take a draw?
I would take a draw. I don't want to see the thing. I don't want to see, right, you can go there and you can get beat and you can put everything into the game, and that's fine. Like we've seen the cup final, that's fine. And part of me can accept that. What I can't accept is turning up, being cagey, playing within ourselves, making mistakes, and just letting Celtic run over the top of you, because you don't see it against other teams like Hibs and Aberdeen, and they all stand up and be counted for. That's what I want to see from us. If you put that in, then the match will take care of itself. I would take a draw, but it's going to be a tough one, Dave. It really is.
Yeah, I have a feeling that it's going to be a goal difference. I don't think it's going to be a kind of doing from either side. I think for me, the one thing that you talk about there is attitude and application, and you've got to imagine that's the one thing that Ferguson will be getting in these guys.
You thought that against Motherwell as well, though.
Yeah,
and that's
the
problem lies.
Well, as you say, hopefully the fact we're away helps. Bizarrely, but there we are.
I know.
Okay, so thanks very much for listening, everyone. If you have heard if you've enjoyed what you've heard, then please do like and subscribe to the channel. We will be back tomorrow at 11:15 with the pre-match thoughts, and then back win, lose or draw to review the game afterwards. But for now, thanks for listening. Every night's a Rangers Journal night.